Poor girl saves millionaire from burning Mustang at hospital. She discovers he's her real father. But before we dive in, tell me, when was the last time a single moment, one you didn't see coming, changed your life forever? Stay with me, because what happens next will change everything. Dear friend, what you're about to experience is not just a story. It's a deeply human journey about loss resilience and the quiet, unexpected ways love finds us when we need it most. If this is your first time here, I invite you to drop a comment and tell us where you're watching from. We love hearing your voice. And if you're someone who believes in second chances and the hidden strength of ordinary people, and in stories that stay with you long after they end, consider subscribing and tapping the bell icon. We share moments that matter. Thank you for being part of this one. Now let's begin. Now picture this, a 7-year-old girl, standing alone on the side of a busy highway, her tiny frame dwarfed by speeding cars. Within moments, her world and a stranger's will go up in flames. This is Emma Brooks' story, and once you hear it, you'll never forget her name. On the outskirts of Boston, tucked between rolling hills and weathered pines, stood a modest white farmhouse. The house had been in the Brooks family for generations, though today only 2 lived there, little Emma and her grandmother Ruth. Life wasn't easy for them. Emma's mother Samantha had passed away giving birth to her, and Ruth had raised Emma on little more than a pension and sheer determination. Still, Emma never saw herself as poor. Her world was rich in other ways, in the smell of Ruth's baking, the sound of old jazz records, and the warmth of love that filled their tiny kitchen. Most mornings, Emma helped her grandmother set up a makeshift stand near Massachusetts Route 128. They sold homemade strawberry jam to passers-by. To Emma, this was no chore, it was an adventure. And her favorite part was arranging her collection of bottle caps across the stand's edge. Each cap had a story, her most prized possession. A deep red cap she'd found after a storm, gleaming like a ruby in the mud. She called it her lucky charm. "You watch Emma," told her grandmother that morning, twirling the cap between her fingers. "Something good is going to happen today." Ruth smiled, though a flicker of worry clouded her eyes. "Maybe so, sweetheart. But remember, sometimes the best kind of luck is the kind you make yourself." Emma nodded solemnly, pocketing the cap. Later that afternoon, as the sun dipped low and cars blurred past on the highway, a deafening screech shattered the quiet. Emma turned in time to see a sleek black Ford Mustang swerving wildly. It veered off the asphalt, slammed into an oak tree with a sickening crunch, and erupted in flames. For a moment, Emma froze. Then instinct took over. "Grandma," she shouted, but Ruth was too far behind. Without thinking, Emma sprinted toward the wreckage. Through the shattered window, she saw a man slumped against the steering wheel, blood trickling down his temple. "Mister, you have to wake up," Emma cried, pounding on the glass. The driver didn't stir. Flames licked hungrily toward the cabin. Emma scanned the ground, spotted a jagged rock, and with all her might shattered the passenger window. Shards of glass rained down, stinging her arms, but she didn't flinch. Climbing halfway in, she gripped the man's shoulder and shook him. "You need to get out. The car's on fire." His eyes fluttered open, dazed and unfocused. Emma grabbed his belt, fumbled with the buckle. Together, they stumbled through the window just as the flames roared higher. Smoke burned their lungs as they crawled away 20 feet 30. Then the Mustang exploded behind them. The blast hurled Emma forward. Ears ringing, she gasped for breath and turned to the man beside her. "You're gonna be okay," she whispered, voice trembling but certain. "Help is coming." And as sirens wailed in the distance, Emma reached into her pocket and slipped the red bottle cap into his suit jacket. "For luck," she said softly. When Ruth arrived moments later clutching a cordless phone, she found Emma sitting calmly beside the man, her small hand resting on his. Paramedics rushed in, the man loaded onto a stretcher. No one knew yet that he was Michael Walker, one of Boston's most successful investors, a man with a fortune built on precision and caution. No one could have imagined that this battered stranger was about to learn a truth that would shake the very foundation of his carefully ordered life. News of the rescue spread fast. Local reporters dubbed Emma the little hero of Route 128. Offers of interviews and rewards poured in. But Emma declined them all. "I just wanted to help," she told Ruth. That's what Mama would have done. It wasn't until days later, in the sterile halls of Massachusetts General Hospital, that the true miracle of that fiery afternoon would reveal itself. Now, here's where the story takes a turn you won't believe. Because the next chapter begins not with fame or fortune, but with a test result that would change everything Emma thought she knew about her life. And what happens next will break your heart and mend it again. Michael Walker stared at the ceiling of his hospital room, each fluorescent flicker above slicing through the dull haze that clouded his thoughts. The sterile air smelled of antiseptic and faint lavender, a poor substitute for comfort. His ribs ached with every breath, and his head throbbed in a slow, relentless rhythm. But it wasn't the physical pain that consumed him. It was the question that haunted the edges of his memory. How had he survived? He remembered the heat, the choking smoke, and just before darkness claimed him, the face of a small girl, wide, determined eyes, a voice fierce with urgency. The memory pulsed clearer than anything else. A child had pulled him from that inferno. But who was she? Why had she risked everything for a stranger? The door clicked open. Dr. Ellen Abrams entered, her usual crisp demeanor softened by a hint of hesitation. "Mr. Walker, how are you feeling today?" Michael forced a smile. "Alive, thanks to a little guardian angel." Dr. Abrams nodded. "That's partly why I'm here. There's something unexpected we need to discuss." A chill crept up his spine. "Go on." She pulled a chair closer. "As part of your trauma care, we conducted a comprehensive blood panel. Recently, Massachusetts General joined a regional genetic database mostly to assist with rare blood type matches and family-linked conditions. Your sample triggered a significant match." Michael frowned. "I have no close relatives in the system." "That's what we thought," Dr. Abrams replied gently. "But the match is with a 7-year-old girl named Emma Brooks." For a moment, time seemed to tilt. The air thinned. "Emma Brooks," Michael whispered. "The little girl who saved me." Dr. Abrams gave a small nod. "Yes, but it's more than coincidence. The genetic match indicates a parent-child relationship." Michael gripped the bed rails, his knuckles white. "That's impossible." I don't have a child." "Perhaps not one you knew about," Dr. Abrams said softly. "According to our records, Emma's mother was Samantha Brooks. She passed away 7 years ago during childbirth. No father was listed on the birth certificate." Michael's breath caught. Samantha. Beautiful, brilliant Samantha. They'd met in college, fallen in love beneath the arches of Harvard Yard, shared dreams of a life together. Until one day she left without warning, leaving only a letter. "I need time to find my path. Please don't look for me." He had respected her wishes, though it had broken him. "She was pregnant," he choked out, "and she never told me." Dr. Abrams placed a hand on his arm. It seemed so. Michael's world reeled. The child who had risked her life to save him was his daughter. "I need to see her," he whispered. "There's more," Dr. Abrams continued. "Emma is being raised by her maternal grandmother, Ruth Brooks. Ruth is receiving treatment here for advanced pancreatic cancer. The prognosis isn't good. She may only have weeks." Michael closed his eyes. A lifetime lost. A family he never knew. Now, fate had handed him a second chance, but time was slipping away. For the next hour, Michael sat in stunned silence, piecing together fragments of a life he hadn't known existed. Photographs of Samantha surfaced in his mind, her laugh, her stubborn tilt of the chin, her fierce love of justice. And now there was Emma, a child brave beyond measure, carrying Samantha's spirit and a spark of him. The next morning, against medical advice, Michael discharged himself. With Ethan Cole, his loyal assistant, at his side, he began digging. "Find everything you can," Michael instructed. "School records, legal guardianship, Ruth's condition. I need to understand the world my daughter has lived in." Ethan's team worked swiftly. Hours later, Michael pored over a stack of documents in his penthouse study. Emma's school reports showed a bright, curious child, though attendance had faltered recently as Ruth's illness progressed. Neighbors described Ruth as fiercely independent, shielding Emma from pity, raising her with values that couldn't be bought. Michael's gaze landed on a recent school photo of Emma. Her dark curls framed a face lit with determination and kindness, so much like Samantha's, yet uniquely her own. He felt a surge of longing and shame. I should have been there, how could I not have known? But self-pity had no place now. There was only one path forward. "Ethan," he said hoarsely, "arrange a meeting with Ruth. But discreetly, she deserves the truth before I approach Emma." Later that week, Michael stood on the porch of the small farmhouse, heart pounding. Through the screen door, he saw Ruth moving slowly, her frame frail, but her eyes sharp with wisdom, earned from a lifetime of battles. When she opened the door, there was no surprise, only resignation. "I wondered when you'd come," she said. Michael swallowed hard. "You know who I am." "Samantha kept your picture," Ruth replied. "You haven't changed much." "Why didn't she tell me?" Ruth's gaze softened. "She was scared. You were chasing the world, Michael. She convinced herself a child would only be an anchor you'd come to resent." Michael's throat tightened. She was wrong. Ruth gestured him inside. The living room spoke volumes. Emma's drawings, carefully arranged bottle caps, the scent of cinnamon still lingering in the air. "She's an extraordinary girl," Ruth said, lowering herself into an armchair. "Brave and kind. But she doesn't know about you." Michael's voice trembled. "Please, let me be there for her. For both of you." Ruth's eyes glistened. "I was hoping you'd say that." "My time is short, Michael. Emma needs someone who will love her fiercely, and I believe that someone is you." As Ruth rested, Michael wandered the room. On a small table, Emma's red bottle cap sat in a place of honor. When Ruth stirred again, she smiled weakly. "She gave you that, didn't she? Said it would bring you luck." Michael blinked back tears. "It already has." That evening, Michael sat on the farmhouse porch as the sun dipped low. Inside, Ruth's labored breathing echoed faintly. The weight of regret pressed on him, but so did a new resolve. This was no longer about correcting the past. It was about building a future worthy of the love he'd just discovered. And somewhere inside that house, a little girl was waiting, unknowing yet, for the father she'd unknowingly saved. The farmhouse felt smaller than ever that week. The sun filtered softly through faded curtains, warming the worn wooden floors, where Emma Brooks arranged her bottle caps into careful spirals. Each cap held a secret meaning known only to her, a private map of hope and memory. But hope was fragile these days. Her grandmother Ruth had grown weaker. The sharp, bright woman who had taught Emma to read and make jam now struggled to climb the stairs, her laughter replaced by labored breaths. Emma noticed everything, the new bottles of medicine, the pained winces Ruth tried to hide, the whispered phone calls after bedtime. Then there was the man who had begun visiting Michael Walker. To Emma, he was still a puzzle. She had pulled him from the fire, given him her lucky cap, and now he sat quietly in their kitchen bringing groceries and listening to Ruth with a sadness that Emma couldn't quite name. One crisp October afternoon, Ruth called Emma to her side. "Sweetheart," she said gently, her voice thin as parchment. "There's something very important we need to talk about." Emma climbed onto the couch beside her. Ruth took her small hands into her own. "You know how sometimes stories take turns we don't expect. Well, our story is about to turn." Emma's brow furrowed. "What do you mean I've been very sick, honey? And though I wish with all my heart I could stay forever, it's almost time for me to go." Tears welled in Emma's eyes. "No, Grandma. I want you here." "I want that, too," Ruth whispered, stroking her curls. "But I need you to be brave. You are the strongest little girl I know." Emma's voice broke. "What will happen to me? That's why I want you to know something wonderful." Ruth looked toward Michael, who stood quietly in the doorway, his face etched with grief. "The man you saved from the car. He's your father." Emma stared at Michael, eyes wide with disbelief. "My daddy." Michael knelt beside them. "Yes, sweetheart. I didn't know about you until recently, but I want to be here for you, if you'll let me." Emma's small hands trembled. "Will you teach me to drive when I'm big, and help me with homework? And not leave me?" Michael's voice cracked. "Every single thing, I promise." That night, after Ruth had drifted into a fitful sleep, Emma curled into Michael's lap, clutching her bottle cap keychain. "I'm scared," she whispered. Michael held her close. "It's okay to be scared. Being brave doesn't mean you're never afraid, it means you keep going anyway." In the days that followed, Michael became a steady presence in their home. He cooked simple meals Ruth could manage, read Emma bedtime stories, and sat with Ruth through long, aching nights. Emma clung to him, her wary curiosity slowly giving way to trust. Then, one quiet morning, Ruth slipped away. Emma was inconsolable. The house seemed colder, emptier, but Michael was there through every tear, every memory. At the small funeral, Emma stood with quiet composure, clutching her grandmother's favorite shawl. The ceremony ended beneath a brilliant autumn sky, leaves swirling like whispered goodbyes. Afterward, Michael knelt before Emma. "Would you like to come live with me? There's a room ready for you, your own space with room for your bottle caps." Emma nodded solemnly. "Can I bring all of Grandma's recipes too? Everything that matters to you comes with us." Moving into Michael's world was both thrilling and terrifying for Emma. His penthouse in Back Bay towered above Boston with glass walls that made her feel like she was living in the clouds. A shelf had been built especially for her bottle cap collection, and the kitchen smelled of cinnamon once more as they baked together. But school was harder. Emma's new classmates weren't unkind exactly, but they were different. They spoke of ski trips to Aspen and summers in the Hamptons. Emma, with her simple dresses and stories of jam stands, felt like a bird in a gilded cage. One day, after a particularly lonely lunch, she met Liam, a quiet boy with thoughtful eyes. "My mom died last year," he confided softly. "I know how hard it is." Emma's heart swelled with recognition. Here was someone who understood. They became fast friends, sharing secrets and stories. At home, Emma poured her emotions into her art. She painted her grandmother's farmhouse bathed in golden light, the fiery Mustang transformed into a vessel of stars, her bottle caps arranged in heart-shaped constellations. Michael watched her create with awe. One evening, after admiring a new piece, he asked, "How do you come up with these ideas?" Emma looked up, eyes shining. "Grandma taught me even when things break, you can make something beautiful from the pieces." Michael's heart ached with love and pride. In this small, brave girl, he saw not only Samantha's spirit, but a resilience that humbled him. Life settled into a new rhythm. Mornings began with hot chocolate and whispered dreams. Evenings ended with art and stories, each day weaving stronger threads between father and daughter. Yet, beneath their growing bond, shadows lingered. Michael knew their happiness was fragile, that the past sometimes returned when least expected. And as Emma's trust blossomed, so too did his resolve to protect this precious new family at any cost. The sun was barely rising over Boston when Michael Walker's phone buzzed on the marble countertop. He glanced at the screen. Ethan Cole, his trusted assistant. Morning, Ethan Michael answered, voice thick with sleep. "I'm sorry to call so early," Michael Ethan replied, voice tight with concern. "But you need to know Victor Steele was released from prison 3 weeks ago. And he's been asking about you." Michael's breath caught. Victor Steele. The name alone brought back a wave of memories once his business partner, later a convicted felon, who had tried to bleed their company dry. Michael had been the one to uncover the embezzlement and testify ensuring Victor's conviction. But the man had sworn revenge. "He knows about Emma," Ethan continued. "We intercepted some inquiries. He's been trying to dig into your personal life." Michael's grip on the phone tightened. The thought of Victor anywhere near his daughter sent a cold blade of fear through him. "Put security on high alert. I want eyes on him around the clock." "You got it. And Michael, be careful." Days passed in uneasy vigilance. Michael kept his routine steady for Emma's sake. Breakfasts filled with laughter, after-school art sessions, whispered bedtime stories beneath her growing collection of bottle-cap treasures. But beneath the surface, worry gnawed at him. Emma, perceptive as ever, noticed. "Daddy, why are there more men downstairs?" she asked one evening, twirling her red bottle-cap keychain. Michael knelt beside her. "There's someone who's trying to cause trouble, sweetheart. But we're safe. I promise you that." Emma nodded, though her eyes held questions too big for her 7-year-old heart. Then came the gala. The Brooks Walker Foundation had grown beyond their dreams, providing art therapy and support to children across the state. The upcoming fundraiser at the Boston Public Library was their biggest, yet a night to celebrate resilience and hope. Emma had been practicing her speech for weeks. Michael watched her from the doorway one afternoon as she rehearsed before an audience of stuffed animals. "When things break, you can make something beautiful from the pieces," she recited, holding up a shimmering collage of bottle caps and painted stars. Michael's heart swelled with pride and a flicker of dread. Public events meant exposure, and exposure meant risk. He doubled security for the gala, stationing trusted guards at every entrance. But as the library filled with guests that night, city officials, philanthropists, families helped by the foundation, Michael couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Emma, radiant in a soft blue dress, held his hand tightly as they moved through the crowd. "Do you think Grandma would be proud?" she whispered. "She would be the proudest of all," Michael replied, voice thick with emotion. The evening unfolded beautifully. Emma's speech drew tears and a standing ovation. Michael thought for a moment that perhaps the darkness had passed. He was wrong. The first sign came during the post-event mingling. Ethan approached, face pale. "Victor's here." Security spotted him entering with forged credentials. Michael's pulse thundered. "Where's Emma?" She was just over by the art display. A blood-curdling scream pierced the air. Michael turned, heart seizing. Across the room, Emma's small figure was being dragged toward a side exit by a man in a maintenance uniform, Victor. Time fractured. Everything moved in shards of sound and color. Guests shouted. Security scrambled, but Michael didn't wait. He sprinted through the crowd, fueled by a primal terror only a parent could know. "Emma!" he roared. Victor reached the exit, dragging the struggling child. Emma kicked and clawed her cries, shredding the air. "Let her go," Michael shouted, voice raw. Victor turned a twisted smile on his face. One step closer, and you'll regret it. Please, Michael pleaded, hands raised. You don't have to do this. You're angry with me, leave her out of it. Victor's grip tightened. You took everything from me. Now I take what matters most to you. In that suspended moment, as Emma sobbed and Michael's world hung on the edge of ruin, a flash of movement came from the side. Natalie Green, an investigative journalist who had been covering the foundation, hurled a camera bag at Victor's head. The distraction was enough. Michael lunged, tackling Victor to the ground. Security swarmed in, pulling Emma free. She collapsed into Michael's arms, shaking. It's okay, baby, he whispered, rocking her. You're safe. I've got you. Tears streamed down her cheeks. I was so scared, Daddy. I thought, shh, I won't let anything happen to you. Police arrived within minutes. Victor was arrested, hissing threats as he was led away. The library lights dimmed, guests escorted out in somber silence. Later that night, back in the safety of their home, Michael sat beside Emma's bed. Her bottle cap collection shimmered softly in the dim light. I couldn't stop him, Emma whispered, voice trembling. You were so brave, Michael said, brushing her hair back. And it wasn't your job to stop him. That's my job, and I'll always be here to protect you. Emma clutched her red bottle cap tightly. It really is lucky, isn't it? Michael's throat closed. The luckiest. Because it brought us together. In the days that followed, Michael wrestled with a tidal wave of guilt and fury. But amid the fear, one truth burned brighter than ever. He would never again take a single moment with Emma for granted. And Emma, though still shaken, found solace in her art. She painted a new piece, a tiny figure holding a glowing red cap, standing defiantly before a dark, looming shadow. When Michael saw it, tears blurred his vision. That's you, Daddy, Emma explained softly. You made the dark go away. In that moment, Michael understood something profound. The past could not be changed. But the future, their future, was a canvas they would paint together stroke by stroke. And sometimes the greatest strength wasn't found in wealth or power, but in the fierce, unbreakable love of a father for his child. The cold January wind whipped through the streets of Boston, but inside the Brooks Walker Foundation's headquarters, warmth radiated from every corner. The walls were alive with color. Children's paintings and bottle cap mosaics transformed the once sterile space into a gallery of hope. Emma Brooks stood proudly beside her father, Michael Walker, her small hand wrapped around his. It had been 2 months since the night at the library. The terror of that evening still flickered in their dreams, but neither father nor daughter let fear define their days. Instead, they chose to build something brighter, honoring not only the past, but the resilience that had carried them through. The foundation had always been about helping children through art. But after Emma's near kidnapping, its mission deepened. They expanded their programs, adding trauma counseling and workshops for children who had faced loss or fear. Emma insisted on being involved in every decision, her voice small but sure in every meeting. We can't just help kids paint pretty pictures, she told the board one afternoon, her feet barely reaching the floor of the conference room chair. We have to help them feel safe. Art can do that. Her wisdom left the adults speechless. Even the seasoned social workers and psychologists on the team admitted that Emma's insight shaped much of the new curriculum. Michael watched his daughter in awe. The girl who had once arranged bottle caps on a jam stand now stood before rooms full of professionals, her words carrying the weight of lived experience. And yet she remained a child at heart, her laughter echoing through the halls, her bottle cap collection continuing to grow. One morning, Emma sat cross-legged in the Foundation's new art room, surrounded by a group of children from a shelter in South Boston. Each child held a handful of bottle caps, eyes wide with curiosity. These are treasure maps, Emma explained. You can make one about where you've been or where you want to go, or about someone you love. A small boy named Daniel raised his hand. What if I don't know where I want to go? Emma's gaze softened. That's okay. Sometimes making the map helps you figure it out. Michael watched from the doorway, heart full. This was the legacy Ruth had dreamed of, a world where Emma's courage could ripple outward, touching lives far beyond their own. The impact of the foundation spread quickly. Schools requested programs. Shelters reached out for training. Even hospitals began integrating the art therapy model into their pediatric wards. Michael invested not only money but time, reshaping his priorities around this new mission. During an interview with Natalie Green, now a strong ally and foundation advocate, Michael spoke candidly. I built companies because I thought success meant numbers and deals. But Emma taught me otherwise. Success is creating spaces where kids can feel seen and loved. Emma smiled beside him, clutching her red bottle cap keychain. And making things beautiful, she added. The story of the little girl who had saved a millionaire and built a foundation with him captured national attention. News outlets from across the country shared their journey. Letters poured in stories from children who found comfort in creating art, from parents grateful for a place where their kids could heal. One letter moved Michael deeply. It came from a young girl in Seattle who had lost her mother in a fire. I made a treasure map, like Emma said. It helped me remember that my mom would want me to keep going. Thank you. He read the letter aloud to Emma one evening. Tears filled her eyes. She's like me, Emma whispered. She lost someone too. You helped her, Michael said, voice thick. You're helping so many. As the months passed, Emma continued to grow into her role as the foundation's heart. Yet Michael never forgot to protect her childhood. He ensured she had time to play, to draw, just for fun, to be a little girl with big dreams. One summer afternoon, they visited the Boston Public Garden. Emma twirled beneath the swan boats, her laughter ringing through the air. "Do you think Grandma can see all of this?" she asked, gazing at the sky. Michael knelt beside her. "I do. And I think she's incredibly proud of you." Emma reached into her pocket and pulled out her red bottle cap. "I think this brought us here, but maybe it was Grandma all along." Michael hugged her tightly. Maybe it was both. In early autumn, the foundation hosted its first national conference gathering educators, artists, and child welfare advocates. Emma was the youngest speaker on the agenda. Standing before a packed auditorium, she spoke with quiet grace. "When I was little, my grandma told me that when things break, you can make something beautiful from the pieces. I think that's true for people too. We all have broken parts, but when we share them with each other, we make something even stronger." Many in the audience wept openly. Michael did too, watching the daughter he had almost lost, once unknown to him, now the brightest light in his life, lead others toward healing. That night, back home, Emma rearranged her bottle cap collection into a perfect heart shape, and at its center she placed the red cap. "This is where it all started," she said softly. "But it's not where it ends." Michael kissed the top of her head. "No, sweetheart, it's only the beginning." And in that quiet room beneath the soft glow of a child's artwork, a legacy born from tragedy continued to grow, built on love, resilience, and the belief that even the smallest hands can change the world. In the heart of Boston, amid the hum of city streets and the whispers of forgotten stories, a single moment sparked a chain of events that would forever alter the lives of two people. It was a story born not in comfort or privilege, but in fire loss and the unexpected miracle of love. It began with a young girl, 7-year-old Emma Brooks, whose courage in the face of unimaginable danger led her to pull a stranger from a burning Mustang. That stranger, Michael Walker, was a man of towering success, a self-made millionaire whose life revolved around boardrooms and balance sheets. Yet, in that singular moment, stripped of all pretense, he was nothing more than a fragile human being, saved by the unwavering bravery of a child. But fate, as it often does, had more in store. In a twist, neither could have foreseen the child who had risked her life to save his was revealed to be the daughter he never knew. He had a truth uncovered in a sterile hospital room where the air hung heavy with possibility and regret. For Michael, a man driven by ambition and haunted by the choices of his past fatherhood, was a role for which he had never prepared. The weight of missed years and unspoken love bore down upon him, challenging every notion of success he had built his life upon. And for Emma, whose young heart had already weathered the loss of her beloved grandmother Ruth, the thought of opening herself to someone new was both terrifying and full of fragile hope. Their journey was not without hardship. Building a family from the scattered remnants of the past required more than good intentions. It demanded patience, understanding, and above all, the courage to be vulnerable. Michael had to learn that being a father meant far more than providing material comfort. It meant offering the kind of steadfast, unconditional love that could soothe a grieving child's heart. And Emma, wise beyond her years, taught him that true wealth lay not in fortune, but in the moments of connection that bind us to one another. Their bond was tested in the harshest of ways when a figure from Michael's past, Victor Steele, emerged with intentions as dark as the shadows he carried. In the face of danger, Michael shed the last vestiges of his old life. He was no longer a man defined by titles or transactions. He was a father prepared to fight with every fiber of his being to protect his daughter. Yet from this darkness, something beautiful was born. Together, Michael and Emma channeled their pain into purpose, founding the Brooks Walker Foundation, a sanctuary for children scarred by trauma and loss. Through art, compassion, and community, they created a space where broken hearts could mend and battered spirits could find light. And at the heart of this story lies a profound truth. Family is not confined to blood or bound by circumstance. It is forged in the quiet moments of choosing love again and again. It is found in the willingness to show up, not just when it is easy, but when it is hardest. Perhaps the most powerful lesson comes from Emma herself, a child who, despite her own sorrow, chose kindness and courage over bitterness. Her story teaches us that no act of compassion is ever too small. The smallest hands, when guided by love, can create ripples that transform lives. As we reflect on their journey, there is wisdom we can all carry into our own lives. Be patient with those around you, for you never know the battles they are fighting. Show compassion even when met with resistance, for it is often the wounded who need love the most. Recognize that behind every hardened heart lies a story of pain, and that your grace may be the light that helps heal it. In a world that too often prioritizes judgment over understanding and division over unity, let us choose a different path. Let us embrace empathy, practice forgiveness, and extend kindness without condition. For it is through these simple, everyday acts that we build bridges of connection and ultimately a more compassionate world. Think of your own relationships, the ones strained by past hurts, or perhaps those neglected by the rush of life. What if today you chose to reach out? What if you offered forgiveness where it is needed, understanding where there has been misunderstanding, and love where there has been distance? The story of Michael and Emma reminds us that healing is possible even when the wounds run deep, that hope can be found in the most unexpected places, and that love, when given freely, has the power to transform not only lives but legacies. If this story has touched your heart, If it has reminded you of the goodness still alive in this world, I warmly invite you to subscribe to this channel. Your support allows us to continue bringing more stories of courage, love, and redemption, to light stories that inspire uplift and remind us of our shared humanity. And from the depths of my heart, thank you. Thank you for watching, for feeling, and for believing in the boundless power of hope. Until next time, take care, and remember, even the smallest act of kindness can leave a legacy of love.